Hey guys, it's Neil here. Welcome to the first video in hopefully a series about my tabletop hobby and slight addiction, Warhammer 40,000 or 40k. In this series, you'll watch me navigate the world of learning the lore and rules alike, building, painting, though not as much as I bought most of my models second-hand. This episode is really just an introduction to me and the series as a whole. So, without further ado, let me give you a brief rundown of the lore of 40k. So, Warhammer 40,000 or 40k is a tabletop game where you play with miniatures and fight each other, though specifics depend on the game mode, such as Kill Team. There are also books and video games which exist. Basically, it's the year 40,000, and these fictional races I just mentioned are battling for control over the galaxy for different reasons. You have mankind and the Empyrean, who are worshipping this borderline wizard emperor who got stuck on a magic soul throne which keeps him alive, along with 1,000 sacrifices. At their disposal, they have a vast army of space marines who are super soldiers in various colours of power armour. One thing I've learned is there's just a ton of space marines, including ones who ride wolves, really OP gold knights. Like, I remember going through Games Workshop's website and skipping through just tens of factions of just space marines. Like, GW seems to love these guys for some reason. They loyally serve the Emperor and slash people with chain swords or blow them up with bolter pistols. Then you have the Necrons, who are a race of robot skeletons who gave up their flesh to be immortal and now long for it back. They have gods which I think they made called the Satan, but don't hold me to that. They're like one of the oldest races in 40k, being as old as like the dinosaurs. Anyway, because of their fight with the Satan, they had to take a nap and now they are waking up in the year 40,000. Despite being sci-fi, there are more fantasy-style races, like elves called Eldar, who I do actually want to collect, particularly Craftworld Eldar, orcs, dwarves, and various shades of demons, who worship one of 4 chaos gods. There is Slanesh, the horny one, Khorne, who represents boxing/scrapping, but fairly, Nurgle, who represents stagnation and disease. I think he's shown pretty ugly in every photo, so that's what I'm going for. And then Stik, who represents magic, I think, or change. I'm sticking with change. Final answer, locked it in. Chaos Space Marines also worship these 4 gods as well. There also is Xenos alien armies, like the actual good guys, Tau, who are a naive empire trying to ally with as many alien races as possible, like the Kroot. On the other side of the spectrum, you have the really evil Tyranids, who eat people and want to collect as much biomass as possible. There are like a ton of Tyranids, like trillions, which is the main like in-game reason why you field so many miniatures in a Tyranid army. Despite this, the whole fleet hasn't pulled up yet. What you've just seen are like specs. There also is the warp, but I don't really understand it, so I'm not gonna bother. Hopefully, I got a couple people interested in the hobby, but I doubt it, so moving on. So my history in the hobby is actually quite interesting. So my first exposure was in secondary school or high school, if you're so inclined. Abby. There was a Warhammer club run by this physics teacher who didn't really sell the game that well to me, or at least I don't remember him doing so. But one of my friends, called Daniel, explained to me how the game roughly works and the factions, with me fixating on my now favourite faction, Tyranids, as they reminded me of dinosaurs, which is really embarrassing because they're more like bugs. Anyway, I bought a Termagant Brood from a local game store, and I bought paint, primer, and I did them fully. But club ended, so I never really got to use them, and it's really sad. But I had a list of minis which I wanted. Like I did a list, including this very cool one, which I actually I bought it, and I can't wait to show you. To add insult to injury as well, I actually lost that brood, which is kind of a bummer because I could really do with more termagants. You can never have too much of those guys. And I never got back into it until a year ago, pre-uni, when I found this video by Cosmonaut Variety Hour on Warhammer in my recommended. I found his Spider-Man videos funny, so I gave it a watch, as I obviously recognised Warhammer, but I hadn't heard of it in a while. The video had me rehooked, especially on Kill Team and smaller games. As though I love Tyranids, they aren't the only faction which calls to me. I then remade the list of all the miniatures I wanted, so when I got into university, I used a combination of my pocket money and leftovers of the student loan to collect Warhammer with the aim of having an epic Lord of the Rings style army battle. Like one thing I did, which I don't really know why I'm telling you this, is I'd actually drink apple juice at Spoons or just water at the club in order to save money just to buy Warhammer, and it would get me dodgy looks from my friends. One piece of Warhammer advice that has stuck with me since I started is the rule of cool. Don't get something because it does bits. As meta changes with Warhammer, GW updates the rules every once in a while to balance the factions. Get something because you think it's cool. At the end of the day, you're the one painting it for hours and assembling it, especially considering how costly it is. You should totally get something you truly want. So with my friend Osh, one of the few people who I know who's really into the game, even more than me, I went with him to my local Warhammer store and I picked up a paint set and the Recruit Edition for more money than I really want to admit. That being said, I really recommend the Recruit Edition for its value for money, because nothing really, even in secondhand stores, compares to it. It's only £30 and it came with dice, terrain, basic rules, a patrol of Necrons, a HQ and a troops unit, and a patrol of Space Marines. There also was this weird measuring thingy, but I don't really know what it is. Then I simply focused on getting minis I genuinely wanted. This included some Crute Hounds, some Spores which came with a Tyranid job lot, a bunch of Termagants because I had nostalgia for them over Hormagaunts, despite Hormagaunts being technically better in 9th edition because they're 80 points, 3 Gene Stealers which came with the job lot. Turns out they're actually pretty good because they're elites, so they can help you build bigger units. Finally, I got some old Space Marines, which I saw at a city centre stall from this nice guy for about £10. I then stopped collecting because back then I actually had self-restraint. Plus, my friend Osh did this really cool thing called making out with Abby in the club and ending up in a long-term committed relationship. Hopefully, I might be able to convince him to join me for a game. Maybe even let me film it for the series. But probably not. So, I played one game with the Recruit Edition pre-Tyranids. So I actually haven't played a game with Tyranids as of writing the script for this video. During the holidays, I felt kind of bad because once again, I had shelved Warhammer due to my outside environment. So I swore, no more, and I will collect all the miniatures I want and play epic battles and join the Warhammer Society of Portsmouth Uni, not the really big one like Nottingham. I'm not like that. So I drew up a basic plan. I was going to have a main 1,000-point army, and it would be Tyranids since they were my go-to since I was 12. Whereas my kill team was going to be Tau, as I don't really like their mecha Gundam look, despite being a huge Code Geass fan. The last thing I really wanted to attempt was to experience allies, and I thought a good army for that would be Chaos, especially because I do like their lore and they're quite important to the overall lore of 40k itself, because you can also get the look of Marines, but you can also get more big monsters like the demons. So far, I've got some Fire Warriors, because I really like their helmets and overall suit design, and this weird drone thing. I have no clue what it does. If you know, comments below, please. Next was a Carnifex, because this year I'm really trying to get big monsters, as you can see with this and the next thing that I got. As I so just cryptically hinted, the next thing I got was a winged hive tyrant, because obviously I need something which can fly, and its design is pretty sick, almost like draconic. And yeah, he's pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. Once I did that, I decided to get some troops for my Chaos Army, which were some solidly lovely blood letters, which I've posed here with this Carnifex, and I even made a little meme for my Instagram about it. This unit actually stands above the rest, because it's actually the first unit that I opened on camera, and I actually specifically saved it just for the video. Now this is a Horde army.
Get your money, man. Life goes on.
I'm hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it, let it take you away.
That being said, I did already open one to make sure they didn't come broken. Which is what the one you saw, which I posed with my Carnifex. Also, my Dreadnought Ken, which I posed here with a tactical Primaris Marine. Yeah, I just really wanted a giant robot, which wasn't an Imperial Knight, as even secondhand, they cost a kidney. So yeah, that's it. I just really wanted to talk about Warhammer, as everyone close to me is either indifferent or they hate it, like my housemates particularly dislike it, so I'm glad I got it all off my chest now. Furthermore, it was nice to reminisce my history in this hobby. I'm honestly surprised that after all this time, I still love Tyranids back then, and I love dinosaurs, and I'm now studying them at uni. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end, and be sure to talk about Warhammer in the comments, respectfully of course, and I look forward to bringing you more Warhammer content. See you next time.